Greetings, children of the screen. Your friendly neighborhood nerds come here once again, and today I am joined by
Old Man Logan.
And this is a very special episode of What You Mean You Ain't Seen, where this is going to be the second video out of my Alien Week celebration, which is a series of videos leading up to the 26th, which is Alien Day. And on that day, I will be releasing my video for the first Alien film, as well as doing a live stream crossover with Comic Boom and Comics Joe, hosted from the Joseph's Books YouTube channel, so make sure and check that out. But today we're talking about Alien 3, or Alien Cubed, as is also known, because it uses the little 3.
Right.
And this is normally where I would tell you what it's rated and the runtime, but we're going by the unrated extended director's cut today.
Yeah. Plenty of F-bombs, plenty of monster, plenty of storyline.
And it's not that much more graphic or gory than the theatrical cut, but at the same time, it's... We'll get into that in a second. So yeah, Old Man Logan, you have never seen this movie before.
No. Of the original quadrilogy, this is the only one that I've never heard of, I guess. Like, obviously there'd have to be a third to be 4, but it just never came up in conversation with any alien buddies or anything.
Okay.
So,
and as we actually discussed, this is probably... I would say that this movie garners even more hate in the franchise.
It's the bastard child of the group.
Yeah, even more so than, like, Alien Resurrection, because people are like, well, they already ruined it with Alien 3. Mm-hmm. What is your reaction to that? How did you feel about the movie?
I mean, just from, like, because I'm not a huge Alien guy, but this was the one that I haven't seen, and I feel like it had enough alien elements in it for me to, count it as an alien movie, but while still doing a couple things different that felt like I was okay with, like all the interpersonal relationships, which again we did watch the other cut,
the assembly cut.
Yeah, the assembly cut. So it did have more of those relationships with the characters, so you got to like them a little more.
Very much so.
But it just, it felt like you got a lot more out of the characters than some of the others. Of the other 3, which was weird.
Yeah, again, since we're going from the assembly cut, it has a lot more drama,
yes,
and a lot more tension, and really plays with the atmosphere and the claustrophobia a lot more.
Because again, if y'all didn't know, it's in a prison, and a shit prison at that.
The assembly cut, and I said director's cut earlier, but it's actually the assembly cut, as David Fincher, the director, wants to have nothing to do with this movie or speak of it.
Right.
But yeah, it comes in at about 2 hours and 25 minutes, which is considerably longer than the theatrical cut, which I'm pretty sure is under 100 and, 100, like 115, 120 minutes, something like that. It's around a 90-minute movie, somewhere in there. I could be mistaken on that, because ever since I got the assembly cut, that's what I watch.
You don't watch the
theatrical.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so there's a lot more going on with the characters and the relationships between them and how they play off of each other than a lot of people originally saw. So, what was your favorite thing about the movie?
I don't know. I just like with the action in that one, really, like some of the action in that one just seemed a lot more intense.
Right on.
To me than some of the others. Like before, it just felt really horror, and this one it was like kind of like oh shit. Yeah. Like just very, and then especially with the thing, when it pops out, like I don't know why, but in that movie in particular, like every time it popped out, you just kind of sit, like kind of jerk back, like damn.
The inner mouth.
The inner mouth.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It does burst through plenty of heads.
Right.
In that one.
And you're correct. Like, the first Alien movie is much more like a haunted house, where there is plenty of, like, actual death scenes and stuff.
Right.
But it's played much more for just, like, the creepiness of it. And kind of building terror from that direction, whereas the second one is much more action-based. And it's more kind of like an adrenaline rush action movie feel. Right. Whereas this one is much more of, like, they take all the weapons away, the characters are vulnerable. It's basically a survival horror. Feel to it, which is...
you actually just have to outsmart this monster.
Yeah.
Whereas before you're just gung-ho.
Right. Where, like in the original Alien movie, they also had flamethrowers, and they didn't have a lot of weapons and stuff like that. But again, like, they just played with that a little bit differently, and also, on top of it, like we're saying, this movie's got a lot of drama injected into it, and almost all of the fights... when you watch the assembly cut, like almost all the action sequences, because you actually know who those characters are, like they are much more engaging. Because one of the other things I mentioned was that, yeah, in the regular cut of the movie, like, you really only get to know, like, 3, maybe 4 characters.
So when they go just slaughtering them off, like, pigs in a farm, it just doesn't work for you.
And most of them are just, like, bald white guys. So, like, most of the time...
All of them are bald white guys.
Yeah. Well, hey, in the assembly cut, you can tell they got 3 brothers in the prison.
Yeah.
That 3 brothers in the prison in the assembly cut. In the theatrical cut, I remember Charles S. Dutton and maybe seeing one of the other dudes in the background, but that was about it. Yeah. So yeah, not exactly a diverse cast, you know, but whatever. You know, I guess I give them props for having a prison where most of the dudes are white, but you know, white skinheads, whatever. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, like because you get to know the characters better, you definitely feel more engrossed in all the different, like, kind of thrilling, action-esque type sequences.
Right. And with that, I mean, you know, this movie is 20 years old, you know, so we, I mean, if you haven't seen it, then we're not really spoiling anything, but no one wins in this one. No one.
Nobody
wins. Almost everybody's dead at the end, you know. So, I mean, like, granted, Ridley's a clone in the next one, but still, like, at the end of that, everyone dies, so it's...
Yeah, and, like... That's one of the things that I never understand in terms of people not liking this movie.
Yeah.
Like, for me, one of the best things about this franchise is Ripley being, like, the ultimate in, like, tragic characters. Yeah. Like, she's haunted by death and eventually succumbs to it to herself, but only after losing everything she has multiple times to this entity, which is the pure embodiment of death.
Yeah. And not only that, then she finds out she actually has one inside of her, which just, you know, like, I'd be pretty pissed off if I woke up on the side of a coast after getting out of cryo sleep, but then she finds out her buddies are dead and she's got a monster inside of her.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just not a good day. No. Not a good week.
And again, like, the other biggest point of contention in this movie is people not liking that they kill off Hicks and Newt.
Right.
And, like, I totally get that because I love those characters.
They were good characters in the previous, and then, like, I mean, you could further build them.
Yes, and in the comic books they do actually.
Okay. I didn't...
Before this movie came out, they had a line of comics that kind of explored what happened after Aliens, and it basically just goes another direction. But in losing them, again, it goes to further that idea of, like, Ripley being the ultimate, like, tragic character. Like, she lost her original daughter, which, by the way, if you guys haven't watched the director's cut of Aliens, I highly recommend it. It definitely gives you a lot more to work with Sigourney Weaver's character. She had a daughter who died while she was lost in cryo sleep after the events of the first movie. And then, like, she finds and kind of builds, like, a new family unit, only to find out that that's ripped away from her as well.
Again.
Yeah, in a very similar situation. But now her nightmare from Aliens of having the face, or, like, having the embryo inside of her has become a reality.
Right.
Like, literally, this movie is all her worst nightmares made true.
Right. And so, which, you know, when she decides, like, I mean, at the end, you know, when she kills herself, but, like, when she asks Home Dude to kill her, it's like, that makes sense. Like, you know, you could be selfish, but with all the crap you've gone through, it doesn't even make sense.
No, And by the way, even though we watched the assembly cut, I did make sure and show him the theatrical cut death of Ripley, because in the assembly cut, they wanted to give you something different, so you don't have the queen embryo ripping out, like, bursting out of her chest and her clutching it as she goes into the flames, which is just a fucking dope way to go out.
Yeah.
Like, if you gotta go out, holy shit, that's a badass moment.
Proverbial, if I'm going down, I'm taking your ass with me.
Yes. And I think because we're on this train of thought, it might be a good time to mention, like, the performances and some of the cast. Like, Sigourney Weaver especially, I was telling Logan, like, I feel like this might be her best performance in one of these movies. Like, it's definitely... like, in terms of what her character goes through and what she gets to do, and, like, her arc, and, like, just her performance in all these key moments, like finding out she's infected, like the autopsy scene where she's having to have the little girl cut open. Like, holy crap, like, this woman acts her fucking ass off in this movie.
And then just straight from that, you go from a scene almost similar, but with a completely different reaction. Well, kind of. When she finds out, like she's got it in her chest cavity.
Absolutely. So again, yeah, it's like all her worst fears manifested. So yeah, her performance is amazing in this. The movie also has Charles Dance, Charles S. Dutton, Paul McCann, Brian Glover, Ralph Brown, Danny Webb, Holt, what's that guy's name? Holt McCallany, I believe his name is, and Christopher John Fields, and just tons of more, just like great character actors that you've seen all over the place, but you probably couldn't name them if you had to.
While we're on that, that's another thing. Like even with all these things we just named that are like super dark and negative and stuff, like, man, this thing really like entertains you.
Yeah,
like all the little characters and throughout the thing, like some of the stuff they say, man,
yeah,
it's just phenomenal.
It's not quite as quotable as Aliens, but it is extremely quotable. I think one of the first things I said to you when we were going to watch this movie is, like, when Charles S. Dutton came up, I was like, oh man, he's got one of the best lines of this movie where he's just like, lady, you don't want to know me. I'm a rapist and murderer of women. And Ripley's just like, oh, well.
Pops a squat next to him.
Yeah, like, I must make you nervous then. And it's just like, dude, that's so dope.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, pretty much across the board, everyone there's no bad performance in the movie. No. Like, there's a couple of characters who are a little more over the top than others, but I think that really does help with, like, relieving the tension in places.
Yeah.
So yeah, the cast is fantastic. Real quick, let's talk about the special effects.
Yeah.
Because that is another big point of contention amongst classic Alien fans. How did you feel about the effects in the movie?
There was only one scene that really stuck out that bothered me, or I guess two. Like, cause obviously I'm gonna give it the curve for, like, it was made in 1991, and clearly in 2018 we've seen some effects, since then. But I've also watched Spawn, so when you go to CGI effects, like, again, I can give it a pass. Which you told me, and I was actually a little astonished, is there's not a lot of CGI.
Not really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of CGI composite.
It did feel like it, but yeah, there's a lot of the composite that threw me off. But the one scene where the monster runs out of when it's first trapped, first trapped and it runs out, that looks like a recycled scene from when we first saw it in white, when it was still in the embryonic state when it ran out, and it looked like they just recycled that, but you told me that was just because that was as clean as cut as they could get that shot to be.
Because it wasn't one of the original shots that was left in the final print of the movie, so it wasn't quite as clean.
Yeah.
But even outside of that shot, like, it's true, the effects don't really hold up.
Right.
But it's worth mentioning that when this movie came out, it was nominated for a frickin' Academy Award for special effects. Like, the puppeteering that they use for the alien is really, really awesome.
And again, I mean, every single time it was just like the headshot with the tongue mouth or the tongue face thing coming out. Like, it was... no, it was still like one of those oh damn moments, regardless of the quality of the effect.
Right. So, like, yeah, even though, like, it doesn't necessarily hold up, between the performances and the way that the cinematography manages to capture, like, the atmosphere, like, the movie still works.
Yeah.
Like, you still get jumps in the right places, you still get laughs in the right places. There are still moments where you're just like, I'm not gonna cry right now. I am not gonna cry right now.
And then you still, you see the monster and you're like, that's still damn cool.
Yeah, it really is. So, what's your final verdict on this movie? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I mean, with all the hate, as someone coming into it, just like with me, with just kind of open playing field, Alien, but you're not really, like, gonna carterize it as this film, I'd recommend it. It's entertaining. There's plenty of entertaining points. The effects are, like, fine. That was thoroughly entertaining regardless. So, I mean, I'd definitely recommend it.
As would I. I would say that, like, at worst, this movie is an amazing B film.
Yeah.
And at least it is, like, I don't know, an extremely underappreciated cult classic in the making.
Yeah.
The only reason I feel this movie never achieved, like, a cult classic stats is because it actually does have two far more successful movies that preceded it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I openly agree. This movie, Alien 3, Alien Cubed, is not as good a movie as its two predecessors, but it does an amazing job of finishing the story of Ellen Ripley, and it does give you an entertaining, different, yet still iconic Alien-esque story. And also, one other thing before we dip out here, I just wanted to mention, the score to this movie is freaking phenomenal. It is my favorite score to any, like, I love the scores for the previous ones, but in terms of, like, an actual album that I'll just put on when I'm doing stuff, this score is awesome, and it works so well in context of the movie, you know? It's just great. So, yeah, like, guys, I definitely would recommend Alien 3. Like, as I've said in the previous video, like, I think the time has come with these movies where we now have more bad Alien movies than good Alien movies.
Yeah.
That with this movie and Alien Resurrection, maybe it's time to stop viewing these as the movie we wanted them to be and start viewing them as the movie that they were.
Yeah.
Now, there were also a lot of, like, really messed up situations that went into the creation of Alien 3 in terms of behind-the-scenes stuff. And I wish I had time to go into that, but...
Yeah, no, because, I mean, that's also 20 hours of content we could watch on that.
Yeah,
and...
but I'll tell you what, guys. Let me know down in the comments below if y'all want to hear that video, and if so, I will do it the day after Alien Day. How about that? Right on, guys. So do you have any final thoughts?
Nope.
Nope. Right on. Then I would like to thank you guys very much for listening to this video and for watching it. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell so you can get notifications on all the content I'll have coming out in the future. And if you did happen to like this video, leave a like and share it with some friends. That's more important now with everything that YouTube has been changing up on us small YouTubers. And make sure to check out my video that'll be coming out tomorrow on Aliens. Thank you very much, guys.
This is Old Man Logan.
And this is Nerd Scum. Out.
$8 meters. 7. 6. 5 meters, man. 4. What the hell?